For those of you who don't know me, I am Jim's oldest daughter, Kern. I was just talking with Jamie. I feel a lot of pressure trying to speak at a speaker's funeral. Hope he's not judging me. If he is, Dad, I'm doing my best. As I was preparing for this, I was actually reminded of something that Dad used to open his speeches with when he was much younger. And that is, he would always say, I'm getting nervous, my hands are getting sweaty, my mouth is getting dry, and I feel like if I could just put my hands in my mouth, I'd probably be okay. I live in Austin and was fortunate enough to be able to spend a lot of time with Dad while he was sick and before he died. I feel like that's a real blessing. But today I hoped to be able to share with you a little bit about the younger history of Dad and what turned that little boy that you saw in the video that they called Jimmy into the man you knew as Jim. So as the obituary mentioned, my dad was the oldest of 6 kids. What it didn't mention is that he's the oldest son of the firstborn son of the firstborn son in a German family, which put him squarely in the center of attention in his formative years. And those of you who don't know him are probably wondering when his formative years ended, because that was someplace Dad was super difficult. He did attend high school in Byron, where he played football and basketball, and he was the valedictorian of his graduating class in 1954. When we were younger and our grades were slipping, we would always remind him that it was probably easy to be the graduating class when your graduating class had 30 people in it. And he would remind us that even though it was 30, he was first of 30. He would especially remind my mom, who was the salutatorian the next year. After high school, Dad attended Winona State University, and to make money, my dad had a couple of really unique skills. During the school year, he ironed shirts for 5 cents a shirt to make spending money. And during the summer, he worked construction. And anybody who's been lucky enough to work with my dad knows that Dad is a hard worker, but he's a fun guy to work with. He's really happy, he enjoys his work, and he's really makes people around him better. My mom used to say that productivity went up when my dad entered the construction crew, because he was not about to let them think a college kid couldn't keep up with them, and they weren't about to let him outwork them. He graduated in 1958, married my mom, and moved to Stewartville, Minnesota, where he taught 7th and 8th grade English and coached football. In August of 1960, my older brother Chris was born. Firstborn son of the firstborn son of the firstborn son, you know. And then on a Friday night in late September of 1961, my pregnant mom made her way down to the football field where Dad was in the middle of coaching. It was a Friday night, to tell Dad that she was having contractions. When she told him they needed to leave for the hospital, he said, "Can't we wait until halftime?" That was me, and we did not wait. In November of 1962, they welcomed their 3rd child, a son named Paul, and on Easter Sunday in 1964, my sister Pam was born. In 1967, my dad decided to pursue a doctorate at the University of Wyoming. So he sold the house, packed up the family, and moved to Laramie. During his doctoral years, my dad again returned to construction, but this time it was to build a vacation home in the Rockies. Most people, when they build a vacation home, contact a builder, contact an architect. My dad built the house in the Rockies. He had no architect, no general contractor, no plumber, no electrician, no roofer, no nothing. He had himself, he had his good friend Roger Abelson, he had my mom, he had his father-in-law, and then he had 4 helpers, who I'm sure were extremely helpful. It took us the better part of the year to build that house. But some of my fondest memories are being there, helping him. We helped him with foundation, we helped him put the logs on the outside, we helped him with the floor, we helped him with the stairs. And it was always just good time to spend together and good time to be with Dad. The odd thing is that at the time I didn't remember that being unusual. I didn't think it was at all unique. And it wasn't until I started to write this that I thought that's pretty darn special to create that whole thing. A house that Jamie and Katie and Denise enjoyed, that we've all had great times at, and he created that himself. It had 3 bedrooms, 2 stories, a living room, a kitchen, a fireplace. The only thing it did not have at the time we lived there was a bathroom. That was outside. That's a lot of different stories, which I'll not tell now. After we finished his doctorate, we spent a year in Kalamazoo, Michigan, where Dad taught at Western Michigan University. And it was here that Dad really began to help us with his love of music. Chris, Paul, and I all took guitar lessons. Paul was the only one who stayed with him. He is a guitar player today. But we spent a lot of time when we were in Western Michigan, and then when we moved to Winona, singing together as a family, or bringing groups of people in and all singing together. Dad loved rounds. He loved songs. The last song we played on there almost always makes me sad because it was one of his favorites, and it was one of his favorite ones to sing. Music and singing together as a family was really, really important to him. When that school year ended, we returned to Winona and we lived there. Dad took a job teaching at Winona State in the Ed Psych department. And it's here that his love of music began to infuse our lives a little bit. If you can imagine, with 4 kids in the house, all of them bordering on middle school, mornings would get a little bit tense. You probably can't tell that I'm a little bit dramatic. So we would have some kind of rough mornings. When the mornings were particularly rough, Dad would usually come into the kitchen where we had a piano and start to play and sing in his underwear. At the time, we all pretended to hate it, and we probably did. But now we all remember it, and we all remember it fondly. In the weeks before he died, when I would talk to Dad, most of his stories that he started, he would start by telling me, if you approach people with kindness, you'll get kindness in return. I thought of all the memories that I have of Dad, I think that's the one that I'll remember the most.
I believe y'all have the words printed in your folder, so if you want to sing along, please do.